When we are persecuted, divine presence makes all the difference. I want you to note that. Persecution is standard. And when you're persecuted, divine presence makes all the difference. In Isaiah, let me still read that is verse 19 of 1 Peter chapter 4. It says, therefore, let those who suffer according to the will of God. You can see suffering is the will of God. According to the will of God, not according to what your own rebellious attitude. No. If you are suffering according to the will of God, as you are doing the gospel, you are preaching where you're supposed to preach, doing what you're supposed to do, and you are suffering because of that, it says that's the will of God. Commit their souls to him. Those of us who are suffering, commit your souls to him in doing good as to a faithful creator. Divine presence makes all the difference. Isaiah chapter 63. Isaiah chapter 63. Isaiah 63, and I'll read verse 9. Isaiah 63, verse 9. In all their afflictions, he, that is God, was afflicted. Christ was afflicted. And the angel of his presence saved them. In his love and in his pity, he redeemed them. And he bore them and carried them all the days of old. When you are going through what you are going through, God is there with you. If you have divine presence, it makes all the difference. There used to be this plaque. I don't know. I don't see it again. Used to something about the somebody who spoke about walking on the seashore, the sands of time. I think that was the theme of the poem. It used to be a frame thing, and it was somebody who spoke about how he was walking on the sands of the shore, and after he one day he had a dream or something, and he saw himself walking, with God, and then he noticed after a while that he would see only one set of feet, and then later he would see two sets of feet, and then later he would again see only one set of feet, and he noticed that those times when he saw only one set of feet were the times that he was going through tough times, rough times. And so he turned to God and said, Lord, what's going on? Every time I'm going through trouble, I'm seeing only one set of feet. So you left me. And God said to him, no, those were the times that I carried you. So the set of feet you saw, they are my feet. You were not even walking. I was the one carrying you. So we must understand that in all our afflictions, in all our struggles, in all our trials, are you pure? You are going through challenges. God is there with you. Have you been purged of iniquity and you are facing life challenges? God is there with you. When people have just gotten born again, they face the most severe attacks. But God is there with them to encourage them, to pick them up, to lift them up. The Bible tells us in 2 Peter chapter 2 verse 9. 2 Peter chapter 2 verse 9. It says God knows how to deliver. God knows how to deliver. Let me just read that. 2 Peter 2 verse 9. It says, then the Lord knows how to deliver the godly out of temptation and to reserve the unjust under punishment for the day of judgment. God knows how to deliver. In Daniel chapter 3, we read about Shadrack, Meshach, and Abednego and how God delivered them from the fire. The Bible says how they were thrown into the fire. They even told Nebuchadnezzar, we're not going to dispute with you. We're not ready to have this discussion with you at all. We know the God that we are serving. He will deliver us. And if he doesn't deliver us, we just know that we're not going to serve this. We're not going to worship. We're not going to bow down to this idol. Nebuchadnezzar was furious. They heated the fire 7 times. They threw them into the fire. The people who threw them into the fire were burnt, destroyed. They were in the fire. The rope that they used in tying them was loosed. But they were in the fire, walking about. Nebuchadnezzar looked at the fire and said, wait a minute. Did we not put 3 people inside this furnace? I'm seeing 4. And the 4th man is like the son of a god. It's like the son of God, actually. And he said, Shadrack, Meshach, and Abednego, come out. When they came out, they were shocked. The hair on their heads, intact. No, it was not as if no smell of flame on their bodies. That is deliverance of God. We don't know why Daniel was not there. But Daniel's turn was to come in Daniel chapter 6. After the Medo-Persians had taken over, They saw how pure Daniel was, how much of a man of integrity. He refused to be soiled, and they plotted against him. They didn't know that God was with him. They plotted against him. After the thing had been signed, Daniel saw that the decree had been signed that people should not pray to any God except to the king. Daniel opened the curtain so they would not say he's doing it in secret, and he prayed to God. They went and arrested him. He didn't resist. You see, I don't understand this quarrel that we quarrel not to be arrested when we are doing what is right. They arrested him, and they threw him into the lions' den. But God was there, and the lions could not eat him. The next day, of course, the king was not happy because he loved Daniel. And the king ran to the place and said, Daniel, that king had faith. He said, Daniel, the God that you serve, did he deliver you? He said, he did, though. He sent an angel to shut the mouths of the lions. They didn't eat me. He said, please come out, come out, come out, come out, come out, come out, come out. And Daniel came out. Brethren, when persecution comes, divine presence makes all the difference. In Acts chapter 16, verse 25 to 28, I'm telling you the scriptures because you already know the stories. You can go and read them. Acts 16, 25 to 28. Paul and Silas were put in prison because they had brought deliverance to a girl. And by bringing deliverance to that girl, they had destroyed the source of income of the girl's masters. So they were beaten and thrown into prison. Whilst they were having their devotion at night as usual, singing praise to God, thanking God and praying, suddenly there was an earthquake. The whole prison shook. Chains fell off the hands of people. The prison gates were all thrown open. And interestingly, God forbade any prisoner from leaving their cells. When the jailer woke up by the noise and saw the prison doors open, he thought everybody had run away. Paul shouted, said, no, don't kill yourself. He wanted to kill him. He said, no, don't kill yourself. We are here. The man ran and said, please, what must I do to be saved? That man was saved because of the manifestation of power, because of the presence of God. Paul and Silas went into that prison because God wanted to save that jailer and his entire household. And he did. If they had resisted going to prison, that jailer would never have been saved. So we must understand what God is. There is a purpose to everything. If you are a child of God, understand this. God's hand is upon you. Nothing untoward can happen to you. And if it does, there is a purpose. I heard the story of two young ladies in old, I think first century Carthage, what we will call the area of Morocco, Algeria, Tunisia, that region. That was old Carthage. And these girls, they believed in God. One of them was already married and had a child. The other was not even married at all. And they kept telling them, deny this Jesus. Deny this Jesus. The girl with the child said, don't worry. This Jesus will take care of my child. The one who wasn't married, they told her, you haven't married though. Nothing has happened. They said, don't worry. God is my husband. They took them to the execution ground, still telling them to deny, to renounce Christ at the execution ground. They refused. They were killed. They were killed. The people of Carthage sat down and thought and said, there must be something in this God that will make people not die. Will make people willing to die. There's something there. The whole of Carthage, because of the death of those people, they became open to the gospel. And they learned Christ. Sad that today, that same place is now a territory of Islam. And we've seen in Acts chapter 5, 17 to 19, how after they arrested the apostles, an angel of the Lord came and opened the prison and said, go out and go and continue to preach. Go back to that same place and be preacher. They won't say that you ran away. Go and preach. And they went and they were preaching. They went to the prisoners and saw that the place was tightly shut, but there was nobody inside. And they didn't even fret that what is going on here. Of course, we know the story in Acts chapter 12, verse 1. How James was first apprehended by Herod and killed. James was actually killed. And Herod was excited that James had been killed. Then he proceeded to arrest Peter. And because it was at the time of Passover, he said, okay, he will do it after Passover. So he kept Peter in prison. And while Peter was there, Peter even was asleep. That is the attitude of the Christian. God is with you. Come what may, God knows. God understands. God is in charge of your life. I want you to understand this. God is in charge of your life. There is nothing that happens to you that is without the knowledge of God. Full knowledge of God. I've always said this. The day something happens to me and I say to God, Lord, what's going on? And God says, I don't know. Then I need to check whether I'm serving God or not. Because there's nothing that God does not know. Absolutely nothing. Before it happened, while it was being plotted, he may not tell you. But he knows. A man of God lost his child and people were wondering, how come he didn't know? You don't know that it is what God tells him that he will know. If God doesn't tell you anything, you won't know anything. There was a time in the Bible when Elisha, the Shunammite woman, ran to Elisha because her son had died. And she was dragging Elisha. Elisha, what is going on? It's all well. The woman was telling Gehazi, because Gehazi was the one interpreting to Elisha, that she says all is well. So, Elisha said, no, this woman is troubled. Something has happened and the Lord has not revealed it to me. It is God's prerogative to tell you anything. He may not tell you anything. But surely he has told somebody. That's for sure. Because the Bible says the sovereign Lord will do nothing except he first reveal it to his servants, the prophets. It's not the man who calls himself prophet as a prophet. It is whoever God calls a prophet that is a prophet. So let's understand these things. God delivered Simon Peter. Church began to pray. And when Peter was sleeping between 16 soldiers, chained, at night an angel came and smote the side of Simon Peter. As he smote him and he startled, the chains fell off his feet, his hands, everything. But the people around him were all fast asleep. And said, get up, carry your clothes. He got up, picked his clothes, and they began to walk. Cell doors were opening. And Peter still felt he was in a dream. Until the big prison door that needed men to open and shut on its own accord opened. And they came out of the prison. That's when the angel opened, allowed Peter to see clearly that this was the hand of God. That's how Peter was delivered. God knows how to deliver his own. Whatever you are going through at the time of persecution, God knows what you are going through. Don't allow anybody to fool you into thinking that God does not know. That no, God has forsaken him. That's why it's happening. There's nothing like that. Are you living a life of purity? Are you living in obedience to God? God knows what you are going through.